committee if we were in control. He's from Michigan. His name's Dave Camp. He said, "Charlie, I'm so glad to hear you say that, because obviously in the stimulus bill that didn't happen. That's not happening on the energy bill. That didn't happen on the omnibus bill. I'm glad to hear that you're saying that, because we have some really good ideas on healthcare reform, liability reform, having insurance sold across state lines, just to name a couple things. We really have some ideas that we think can be part of this debate." To which Charlie said, "Well, Dave, you misunderstood me. I didn't say I wanted your ideas. I said I wanted your votes. We already have the ideas that we're going to pass, and elections have consequences. And by the way, with nearly an 80-member majority, they could barely get their ideas through the House, barely get their ideas through the Senate, and barely get that process done into the president's desk with the huge historical majorities that they have. And they did it at the end of the day, as some of my Democrat colleagues who voted no said, just to give the president a victory, not about healthcare reform. In the end, it wasn't about healthcare reform anymore. It was about winning. And ultimately, there's going to be a lot of people, even outside this room, who voted for President, I predict, who voted for President Obama, who voted for Democrats for Congress, who were for reform, who are going to find out actually what it does and are going to be really upset. Let me tell you what's going to happen. We have two systems today, Medicare and Medicaid, that are broken. They're both broken systems. If you are a doctor and you take Medicare or Medicaid patients, you don't get reimbursed for your cost. You have to cost shift. So what do? You cost shift to the private sector, to private employers, to private health care. So if you're Dublin cleaners and you have employees in health care, you are paying for people who are on Medicaid and Medicare when you pay your health care bills. The cost shift occurs from doctors to private sector and the hospitals to private sector. So every time that 33% increase hits an employer, it's not just because of the employer, it's because of Medicaid and Medicare not reimbursing doctors 100% of their cost. And so today we have more and more doctors saying, I'm not going to take new patients. I can't take new patients. Because if you have 50% of your practice with Medicare patients, suddenly you can't do enough cost shifting. Well, so what do we do? What do the Democrats do? They look at putting half of the uninsured on Medicaid. So the president will say, well, if we fix the uninsured, well, we just dump them all on Medicaid, a broken system that's bankrupting states and obviously the federal government. It's insane. It's just absolutely crazy. So we don't fix the cost shifting. We don't fix doctors' pay in the health care bill. So doctors are now mad. Hospitals are mad. And we have a coverage bill. That's what we have. That's what this was. This is a coverage bill that increased taxes and increased everybody's premiums, ultimately, who has private insurance in this room. That's what we did. Now, the Democrats will try out some issues this summer that are politically popular. And if you've seen commercials against me already, one of them is pre-existing conditions. Now, everybody in Washington wants to deal with pre-existing conditions. Not the way they dealt with them, by the way, but everybody wants to deal with that issue. If you have cancer, you should be able to be insured at a reasonable rate in a risk pool. So the liberal groups come after me on health care, come after me on cap and trade. In fact, I've had $500,000 run against me, more than any other sitting House member running for re-election in Washington, by MoveOn.org, Accountability America, SEIU, Healthcare Now, which is a collaboration that at one point in time included Acorn, run against me on these issues. And the next one they're going to do is financial regulatory reform, which, by the way, how do you re-regulate the financial services industry because of what happened without touching Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac? They're both exempt. They were exempt from the tax. They're exempt from paying back their loan. It's just crazy. So banks, I'll pull one out that has a major presence in Central Ohio, J.P. Morgan Chase, pay back their loan with $1.7 billion in interest. $1.7 billion in interest. Had it for 1 year. Didn't want it, took it, paid it back. Government made $1.7 billion. Most of the financial companies actually did pay it back. Who's exempt from paying it back? Freddie and Fannie. Chrysler and GM, even though GM now is going to pay it back with another loan they got from the federal government. But that's a whole other story. I digress. So anyhow, there's a lot to talk about. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for your activity. I know I've kind of gone a little bit. Hopefully that background helps you understand what I'm all about. I commute back and forth. My family is here. I've got 4 young daughters. And the reason why I do this is for them at the end of the day. I got to be honest with you. It's tough to be away. It gets tougher all the time. This is not a spectator sport. It is a contact sport. I don't mind being hit. I don't mind. I've got thick skin. I'm fighting for what I believe in. But when it's tough, when it gets tough on your family, when it gets tough on your kids, and your daughter comes home after seeing a MoveOn.org commercial with a red hand, saying I was caught red-handed, and says, Daddy, Michael in class said that you did something wrong. He saw it on TV. What did you do wrong? Just breaks your heart. Breaks your heart. But you know what? I'm fighting for her, and I'm fighting for your kids and your grandkids, and that's what this is all about. Thanks for being here today.
Know what can we do with Freddie and Fannie? I mean, what is our hope of stemming that flow of money to God knows where?
Well, nothing's going to happen while this president. Well, first we got to continue to try to get them re-regulated under this bill. It doesn't seem to be going very far, very fast in terms of that goal. So the next best thing is if we get in control of the House, of course you still have a president you have to deal with, is you got to try to shut him down. You just got to try to end it.
Thanks for coming, by the way.
You bet.
You're doing a phenomenal job, and I just hope you keep talking to conservatives.
Are we related?
I know. If I can give you any advice, I'd watch that video that the New Jersey governor just did yesterday. If people just keep talking that
He's
way,
great.
We'll have no trouble.
Yeah, he's great.
One of the things I'm really concerned with, and I do a lot of stuff with global warming, I'm kind of curious, what are we going to do to stop this carbon legislation, and what are we going to do to stop them from unleashing the EPA?
Great question. I've heard this quite a bit. The only thing that can be done right now, well, first off, I don't think they have the votes in the Senate to pass this. And in fact, if they brought the legislation before the House today, I know they couldn't pass it today. But that's done. It passed the House. I don't think they get the votes to pass it in the Senate. But more importantly, to your point, I think, is the administration clearly continues to show us in Congress that they are going to do things they can't do legislatively, administratively. And this is one of them. It's pretty frightening. And the only way that we can stop it in the near term without changing presidents is to turn off the spigot through the appropriations process. The only way you can do that is if you get one of the houses back, either the House or the Senate back. And that's got to be a goal, one of the goals, in addition to the healthcare bill. The healthcare bill, what got lost in the debate in the end is the broad new bureaucracy the healthcare bill creates, not just at Health and Human Services, but at the IRS too. And so one of the things you can do through the appropriations process is stop that from occurring. Now there'll be a knockdown, drag out, particularly if the House is Republican or the Senate's Democrat or vice versa. But I think that our leadership, if we're lucky enough to get the majority, is ready for that fight. I really believe that. Not not on healthcare, but on this cap and trade scheme that they're trying to do administratively as well.